Welcome back. You're watching Gravitas. Rohingyas have traditionally been a peaceful segment of the Myanmarese populace, but after continuous waves of persecution, they funded their own terrorist organization. The Harkan al-Yakin Arakan, or the Rohingya Salvation Army, can reportedly count on 500 men and has its headquarters in Rakhine within the jungles of the Myanmar-Bangladesh border. The group is said to have strong connections both in Bangladesh and Pakistan. Its leader, Ataullah, is a Rohingya Muslim who was born in Pakistan and grew up in Mecca. It is most likely through this network that funds and supplies are reaching the terror group. The International Crisis Group released a report on the Rohingya insurgency highlighting how their issue has often been a propaganda tool in the hands of established terror outfits in South Asia. The Tehreek-e-Taliban, the Islamic State and the Lashkar-e-Toiba have openly accused Myanmar of religious persecution and called on the Rohingyas for direct action. Support has not only been through words though. According to the ICG, leaders of the Rohingya Salvation Army confirmed that they have been trained both in Bangladesh and Pakistan, mostly by Afghan and Pakistani trainers. Myanmar has not yet become a priority for the major regional and global terror outfits, but porous borders and a flourishing light weapon black market in Bangladesh could prove to be positive assets for a change of strategy. Despite reportedly receiving aid from foreign jihadi organizations, the Rohingya Salvation Army does not have any extremist religious connotations. Its only role is to protect and avenge its ethnic group against indiscriminate violence in Myanmar. But if frustration keeps growing and international terror outfits decide to invest more resources in Myanmar, the risk of the Rohingya Salvation Army turning into an Islamist terror group could come true. And this is one of the fallouts of what's been happening in Myanmar. In Bangladesh, the misery for the Rohingya community continues. WION's Bangladesh Bureau Chief Saad Hamadi gets us the latest about their condition in camps at Cox's Bazar in the far end of the southern borders of the country.
This is just a stretch of the Cox's Bazar roads, and I've stopped by here to find only Rohingyas stopping and sitting in these tree sides and roadsides, waiting to be able to find some home in the makeshift camps that are being built in various parts of this district in Cox's Bazar, mostly in Kutupalong and Ukhiya and places like this in the bordering states. So these people will remain like this, confined in the Cox's Bazar area, unless and until they're taken back by the Myanmar authorities. The Bangladesh government will not let them mingle or mix with the people of Bangladesh so that they remain isolated, in the hope that Myanmar would someday take them back to their homeland. Many Rohingyas have been starving for days as they traveled. This truck that you see has brought in relief for the Rohingya people who are standing and sitting on the roadside, on the tree side. They've thronged to this truck to be able to get something for them. Some of them will get, some of them will not get, and that is how they're jumping into these places on the street, risking their lives so that they can get something from these people who are bringing in relief. There are humans, there are civilians, humanitarian aid agencies who are bringing these relief effort for these people. But then there is no coordinated effort, and in the absence of a coordinated effort, not everyone is getting the right share of what they wish to get. Many of the Rohingyas have fallen ill after having walked miles to reach to safety.
People have suffered from hunger, dehydration and lack of sleep as they walked for 3 days and nights. The villagers, MSF and village doctors are providing them with primary treatment and care.
I
have sought shelter with friends who have travelled here. I have left my home, property and everything only to save my life. Some people have not been able to make any home here and are staying under open sky, and some will probably die short of food.
The recent influx of nearly 123,000 Rohingya has forced the Bangladesh government to make a new camp for the Rohingya. I'm right now at the Tainkali village that is just 2.5 kilometers away from the border that Bangladesh shares with Myanmar. Behind me are the makeshift camps being built that you see by the Rohingya minority community who have fled in thousands in recent weeks due to the persecution they have been facing in their homeland in the northern Rakhine state in Myanmar. The Bangladesh government has decided to provide them a makeshift camp in this village until a resolution is brought in place and they're repatriated and recognized in their homeland. Many of them have built these plastic sheds and thatched huts to make their new home until they can go back to their territory. Some of them have lost their senses due to the dehydration that they have suffered from walking for days from their homeland to all the way in Bangladesh. At the Tainkali village, Saad Hamadi, WION.
Ambassador Singh and Mukhopadhyay are still with us. Also joining us, Tun Khin, a human rights activist and the president of the Burmese Rohingya organization from London. Good evening. Tun Khin, who is responsible for this state of affairs according to you?
Actually, we have seen that attacks by the post, some Rohingya militants. As far as what we know, Rohingya, we reject the violence. We are seeking political solution through peaceful means. That's what we've been advocating for in exile. So no matter what, Burmese government cannot take collective punishment because of some a few militant people. They cannot take the whole Rohingya population, for the punishment. We're receiving the information are very, very disturbing. Burmese government at least killed 3,000, Burmese military and government killed 3,000 Rohingyas, and at least, 170,000 Rohingya become ITPs. There is no food, no shelter, and no aid for Rohingyas, I think Burmese government is continuously moving on to kill the Rohingya civilian. That is really disturbing, and it's very desperate situation we can see in the ground.
I want to ask you the source of these figures, and can you verify them? Also, do you concede then that there are sections in the Rohingya community who act like terrorists, and so you cannot blame neighboring countries when they say that these people should face deportation?
The thing is, the estimation, what we've been receiving is we have some people on the ground who we got contact. So this the whole village is burned down, and some witness they seen military slaughtering elderly men, women and children. Elderly men and women and children, they did not involve these attacks, so they can't take these people they can't kill this kind of people. That's what I want to highlight here.
Right, Gautam Mukhopadhyay, the Rohingya issue has snowballed into a massive humanitarian crisis as the pictures tell the story. How do you think New Delhi will engage with Myanmar on this?
Well, we have already been engaging with them, but I imagine that with the context of this visit, when the problem has suddenly blown up, as well as the fact that now we have the Prime Minister in Myanmar talking directly with the leadership of Myanmar, naturally there will be a much greater understanding and empathy with Myanmar on this issue. The Prime Minister expressed considerable understanding and support for Myanmar's territorial integrity and unity and its general well-being. And also in the specific context, a statement was issued expressing support for the Myanmar security forces in dealing with the problem and condemning these acts as terrorists. Let us not forget that this latest cycle of violence has been initiated by Rohingya militants or terrorists. First in October 2016, and now immediately after the Kofi Annan Commission, an international mixed commission appointed by the government of Myanmar, appointed by Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, using her stature in the international community to come up with ideas and solutions for the crisis. So clearly, this is not as simple as it looks.
Tun Khin, I want to ask you, how do you think Aung San Suu Kyi has responded to this crisis, and what more can she do given the political pressures that she faces?
I think, unfortunately, she's not speaking up. I think she should speak up. That is what we would like to see. We Rohingya people have been supported her for many years. This is a kind of humanitarian crisis growing over there. It's a genocide. We can see the way Burmese military mass killings practicing to the Rohingya civilians. So it is really, really horrific situation we are witnessing in our history. So Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, as a leader, she should speak up, and this is a kind of moral. If she speak up, international community will be much more can get access to discuss the issue. Military operation is not a solution. The solution is Rohingya been facing persecution for many decades. So this is important that we need to address the root cause of the problem. As India government, we appreciate India government giving for 30,000 Rohingya refugees shelter. You know, the thing important is here we need to address the root cause of the problem. Why these people are fleeing from the country. So, you know, they are facing denial of citizenship, restriction of movement, marriage, education, even though, you know, we've been living in our current state a glorious many centuries in Burma. So this is the thing, we should find out a solution. Same time, we Rohingya would like to see peace in our current state. So I hope India government will also work with regional countries to find out a permanent solution. This is very important.
Arun Singh, I'm running out of time, but I have to ask you this. This is Myanmar's problem right now, but it could soon be India's. Also, especially given the reports that there might be Pakistani groups that are training and funding these Rohingyas.
So clearly the story has many dimensions. There is a humanitarian aspect that has to be addressed. There is an aspect related to refugees that has to be addressed. There is an internal governance and political aspect within Myanmar, and based on the Kofi Annan Commission report, it can be taken forward. But I think the most important, another dimension is the aspect of terrorism. And from the report that you referred to, it is clear that these terrorist groups are interlinked with each other. And India has pointed out for a long time that it is very difficult to segment between terrorist groups. They tend to have interlinkages, they tend to support each other, and the whole issue of terrorism has to be addressed in its totality without making a differentiation between terrorist groups. So that's important also.
Right. I'm going to thank you all.